Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Game Design Cuppa. I'm your host, Matthew Dunstan. Welcome. Hope everyone's doing well on this rather cloudy Wednesday morning. It is, at least in Prague, and quite cold, actually. I think it's like 0 degrees. At least that's what Google is telling me. Good morning, Zate. Yeah, I don't know how commercials work. I've got an affiliate quite a while ago. To be honest, I don't really understand how they work. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they do show or don't show for some people. I have no idea. No, thanks very much for the offer of remotes. I will. Yeah, I should get on that. Like I've said many times, that I should really be a bit more professional and come up with some sort of layout and things like that. These are the things that I'd like to do sometime. Yeah. Morning, Rob. How are you going? Morning, Nicholas. Just got your email. Thanks very much, Nicholas, for that. Yeah, and I hope everyone is doing well on sort of midweek, getting, what do they call, hump day, getting over the hump of the working week. Of course, in these after days, the working week has a sort of a different meaning for most, I guess. But yeah, anyway, hope all is well. So yes, I have got my tea. I'm actually just going to take my tea bag out because I was running a little bit late this morning. I'd almost forgotten what I was doing, which is pretty par for the course for me. And yeah, what have I been up to? I've sort of been tinkering away at various bits and pieces. I've got a different game on the table behind me now, which is sort of an evolution of this idea that I had been working on over the weekend. A little bit of exploring a sort of a right angle direction. But yeah, I haven't quite cracked it. Morning, Dutch Yoda, how are you going? Welcome. Yes, I understand you got knocked off the perch. I didn't quite understand Michael's stream, the kind of like championship belt kind of system or whatever. But I understand that you lost. Yeah, but so commiserations, Yeah, so I've been sort of I was tinkering around with this game yesterday. It's sort of still a bit. I don't know. It doesn't quite have the feeling I like. Good morning, Bass. How are you going? Welcome. Yeah. So, Rob's the champion now. Oh, well done, Rob. I congratulate you for your obvious talent and skill to be champion of Michael's stream, whatever that actually means. But yeah. So I've been tinkering around with a little bit of design, but still a little bit stuck, I guess. I don't know. I'm sort of in that. Designing kind of goes up in peaks and troughs, and I do recognize this particular time, which comes up somewhat regularly, where I don't have a game which is in sort of like solid development, where the game is not changing a lot, but I'm still working on it and I haven't pitched it yet. So you have times like that where you have 1 or 2 games which you're really actively developing on, what you're working on, it's sort of, you're focused on that, and it's quite enjoyable usually because you're making progress or you're at least solving problems and you feel like you're, you know what the problems are and things like that. And then there are other periods where you have, where I don't have that, like, which kind of right now, and I try a lot of different kind of ideas, and I usually make, a single prototype to start off, and I play around with it a little bit. And often a lot of those ideas are not very good, or they don't work, or they don't catch me like I would like, which just means I end up making lots of small things and they don't sort of progress. And that's kind of normal, it's sort of, it's so strange how you rationalize. Morning, Hal, how are you going? And enjoy your cappuccino, Bass. Yes, I have my tea now, but it's still cooling down. It's just funny how the human mind very quickly normalizes what's going on, and you sort of forget that times can be different, which is true for the broader sort of situation, I guess, of the world. But with game design, you sort of you forget that there are times when it's a little bit like farming, like Hallertau or something, like a Uwe Rosenberg game. Sometimes you're working the field, sometimes you're letting the fields lie fallow to let them kind of regenerate and grow, and I think sometimes I get a little bit frustrated because I try these ideas and I'm like, why is nothing working? And you sort of forget that actually of the whole percentage of games that you work on, a large percentage of them don't work, and it just happens to be you're in the kind of like the bit of the distribution which isn't working. It doesn't mean you won't find new ideas again. I remember early on, you know, when I'd had Relic Runners published, I think I definitely probably thought like, I wonder if I'll ever get a game published again. You sort of think like, was it just sort of a fluke that led to, you know, one game being finished? And of course, when you finish another one that feels a bit better, and you sort of learn to kind of rely on the fact that it will come, you know, like if you just work on it. And yeah, but it's a funny thing. You have to, it's like an almost type of faith, you know, you have to have faith that you know, it's going to kind of work out, or that you'll eventually hit an idea. You know, there's always going to be more ideas, and there are always going to be more things to work on. But anyway, so that's kind of on the kind of like the new design stage. And I think that's like, it was fun on Monday to kind of share a bunch of ideas that had kind of reached that same stage, that had all been kind of tried out a little bit, hadn't made much progress. And yeah, maybe some other people find something in it that could be interesting. Yeah, so I see that, yes, it was Rob beat you fairly in a duel. You can have a coup. This system, or that whatever Michael's devised has levels beyond anything that I could have imagined. I think. Yeah, and otherwise, I've been going back to Monumental a little bit. We're working on a new product in the Monumental line, and I did a little bit of like Google Sheet work, some sort of like trying to come up with sort of the overall structure of cards and things that might be in that product. Doing a little bit of like sorting and just some preliminary work, not really like designing, more just organizing things to be ready to kind of leap into it when I'm, you know, going to put a bit more time into it. Yeah, and had a nice meetup with Mandela yesterday. We're still working on our the prototype's called Diced Onions. It has dice, and you're in a fast food restaurant, and it's going well. I'm the one holding it up, I have to admit. If Mandela's watching, I apologize. But I did a bit of work on it, and we're ready to go. We're ready for a playtest on Friday. And I realized that I have not been in a proper playtest of one of my games for probably a couple of months, which is a very, very long time. It is a bit of a weird feeling to realize that that is one of the things that's definitely changed. Is that, yeah, normally I'd be, you know, in playtesting sessions once a week or something. And there was a time also there where we were trying to do the virtual thing, but that's kind of broken down a little bit. So yeah, it'll be good to sort of get back into doing a little bit of playtesting and something like that. Yeah, so that's been my week. I hope people. What has everyone else been up to with the week so far? Or share your plans for what you're going to be getting done today. You know, we can keep each other accountable, I guess. I really enjoyed. I'm sure if anyone's seen Rule Gaviola's kind of working streams, like co-working streams, I guess you'd call them, where you kind of stream, but it's more that you would, you know, kind of like there's no talking. You just have 25 minutes, you know, Pomodoro kind of thing, and it's just even seeing someone else working might give you the kind of impetus to sort of keep working yourself, which I know I have also struggled with, I guess, when you're just sort of by yourself and you're like, oh well, you know, I can just check Board Game Geek a little bit more and and see how that goes. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I think Rob's is working with Alex yesterday on our game. We'd got it working reasonably, so sorry, we had got it working reasonably, so we deleted all the cards so we could start again. Is it so? I don't understand. Is it a joke that it was working reasonably, or you reasonably is not good enough, or what led you to kind of like, you know, torch the ground as you know go back on things? I also have been reading the actually the Red Rising series after the the announcement of the game by Stonemeyer last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. I never heard of the books, actually. I never heard of the thing, and I looked it up, and the first book was free on Kindle, so I picked it up, and yeah, it's perfectly enjoyable for what it is. It's a funny kind of mishmash of the kind of, I guess, the pillars of this kind of like sci-fi, like teen-ish sci-fi, you know, like Ender's Game. There's definitely parts of sort of Ender's Game to it. And like there's also the first book, it's weirdly a little bit like Hogwarts in space at some point. which was a funny thing when you, yeah. So I don't know. It's well done. It has a good good pacing, which is what you want. But it is funny how it leans pretty heavily on what's come before. But at the same time, I think carving out its own world and its own thing. And the amazing thing I looked at actually is that the writer, I think the writer was like 24 when the books were published, so actually quite a young writer. Makes you wonder what the rest of us have been doing. I am considerably older than 24 now, so yeah, it was. But anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. It was interesting to look at. Maybe I can bring the game up. Oh, yeah, sorry, Rob was, yeah, we were talking about betting. You like the general flow, but you wanted to rebuild. Okay, so you're kind of checking like the structure of the general game, and then you're like, okay, it works, so let's now put a bit more time into the cards. Oh, it sounds good. Yeah. Oh, well, that could be useful, and like it's always that nice feeling when you suddenly know what the game is, so you can actually recontextualize all the other little details and things like that. So yeah, that's a really nice thing, I think, when it can work out like that, definitely. I was going to bring up the Red Rising game to kind of have on the screen. Oh gosh, no, clicked on the wrong thing. Not Red Star Rising, Red Rising. Oh no, that's not supposed to be there. Dutch has been busy working and planning for the upcoming weekend. I hope to find time to prepare some blind tests of my game. Oh, fantastic! That's really great. So do you have to send out prototypes to do that, or how are you doing that? Yeah. So I mean, this is Red Rising, the game that I'm sure everyone's sort of seen. It's quite interesting, actually. I have to admit, like I do short reviews and things like that. On the channel sometimes, and I have Fantasy Realms, which actually I enjoy very, very much. It's one of the games that 3 doesn't particularly like, so we don't play it that much. But every time I have played it, I've enjoyed it a lot, and it's quite interesting that yeah, I guess as a general chat, it's interesting to me, like. Me personally, I don't like revisiting my own ideas very much. And I'm actually, with the game I'm working on right now, I'm almost thinking to stop working on it because I already recognize that there are certain elements that are a bit too close to another published game, to Silver and Gold, Phil Walker, a really great Phil Walker Harding design. But it's funny that I'm quite sensitive to that. And it's just interesting over the last couple of weeks, a few big profile games come out that I don't know where I don't know how to approach it. It's just an interesting discussion to see how games, obviously, like very few games are completely novel and everything's kind of built on what's come before. But it's just interesting to see some of these newer designs just very heavily connected to quite recent games. And for Red Rising, I think I was just surprised at how close it took that Fantasy Realms aspect, and also because the form of the game is roughly the same. It's still mostly a card game. I think the card play with the kind of acquiring cards is quite interesting. Although I would argue that in the kind of non-draft variant of Fantasy Realms, it's quite similar. You have a display of cards in Fantasy Realms, and you choose whether you want to like take a card and swap it with something in your hand, or you draw something from the deck, which is exactly what's in Red Rising. And obviously there are a few extra elements, a little bit more game in there, but it's just I don't know whether I would ever need a game like this because I enjoy very much Fantasy Realms, and I don't really know how much this would add. And it's just. I don't know how I feel about like how close those games can be. I mean, that being said, of course, like a lot of games I design, you can obviously look back and see how they're influenced by previous games, and none of this is say that like this is all above board. I'm not saying that this is like not allowed or this is terrible or anything like that. I'm more just, I suppose it's just something that kind of like resonated with me recently. And I think the other game that happened. Is that also when I checked out the Terraforming Mars, the new Terraforming Mars game, which is this Ares Expedition game, and And again, I was just sort of a bit struck by, for those who don't know, I mean, Terraforming Mars is obviously already a card game, and this is kind of like a condensed version of that. But it uses a system which most people would recognize from Race for the Galaxy, which is obviously one of my favorite games. Probably could be my #1 game of all time, possibly. And again, I was a bit struck by how close that whole kind of the role selection mechanism and the phase selection in was taken into this game. Now, obviously, again, there are other parts of the game. It's not a complete facsimile, but it's I guess probably my point is I was just a bit disappointed, because I'm always, especially when you have a game like this that's quite hyped, and I guess like anything from Stone Meyer is usually quite hyped. You know, I always am excited to see something a little bit new, and to see, especially with card games, I love to see new ways to use cards and powers and things like that. You know, and I guess I had hoped that there was going to be something a bit more that I was going to look at and go like, oh, that sounds really interesting. That's new. I'd like to see how that plays, you know. But unfortunately, coming away from both of these, I sort of just come like, I love Race for the Galaxy, and I don't need another game that plays like Race for the Galaxy, because I have Race for the Galaxy. I completely understand the argument also that quite a few people have pointed out. Obviously, Race for the Galaxy also was not completely new. It very famously, it was based on San Juan and Puerto Rico. It took, you know, it had a very direct lineage from that as well. Although, of course, that lineage was, as I understand it, was very was kind of very open, because Tom Lehman went to you know, Alea and talked about it, wanted to make a card game, and him and Andres Seyfarth, I think, you know, they were in contact. It was sort of like an open thing. I think like everyone knew what it was doing. It wasn't, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Tom Lehman thinks of this game, I guess, is the only thing. And it would be interesting to see what the Fantasy Realm author, who I actually don't know, then Bruce Glasgow, that's it, is the designer of Fantasy Realms, thinks about something like Red Rising. I mean, it's great that it can be inspiring, and that's fantastic. It's just, yeah, and again, I should say very, very openly, this is not a criticism to say that like this shouldn't happen and this is wrong and that people shouldn't support these games. It's more just how I reacted to it, I guess, and that sort of thing. And I guess also because in both these cases, they took games that I already enjoy a lot, and it's sort of like, do I need more of that? I guess. Hal says, I find myself pretty sensitive to this too, and I think people have different thresholds. I looked at Ari's Exposition and just came away thinking, yeah, I like Race for the Galaxy too. Yeah, it's just, I think also, yeah, I guess, I think that was, yeah, I don't know. Vass says, mechanic-wise, those guys are similar, but otherwise, you know, you have choice. You now have choice in which is close to your heart. Same for Terraforming Mars. As I don't own the originals in both cases, I'm quite happy with the newer versions. Yeah, exactly. And you know, of course, it always depends on your perspective in the hobby. Like, if you're just entering the hobby now and you're like, oh, I don't know Race for the Galaxy, like, this is fantastic, this would be great, and potentially could be a much easier landing off point. Of course, like Race for the Galaxy has famously is very, very difficult to understand in your first or second game. The iconography is quite difficult. And, you know, like maybe, you know, you want a bit of a media game. You want like, and obviously looking at, I haven't seen Red Rising, the you know, like the product, I haven't held it in my hands, but seeing in videos, it looks amazing. Like you know, you can't fault the production quality and the art and everything. And yeah, that is also an important part of the game. It's not just the mechanisms, I guess. You know, as a designer, I think about the mechanisms first. That's one of the things that's most important to me. But yeah, obviously there's more than that, and other people take different things from that. So yeah, that was just something I guess that was on my mind recently, and I sort of read, and I think the other small thing that I found just a bit funny, that in a lot of like reviews or things talking about Terraforming Mars, is like they don't mention Race for the Galaxy, even though there is just such a direct, you know, lineage there. But anyway, it is what it is. But that's sort of I should have a new segment like on my mind or something, like, you know, Matt chats. Yeah, and I you know, it comes from, I think especially with the Terraforming Mars, because it was sort of announced so long ago. I think I was actually generally really interested, because for me, I've played Terraforming Mars once, and it's a game I should really like. I found it completely overwhelming the first game because we played with some other people who knew the game, and they were understanding of me being a first player. They weren't annoyed with me, but it was a completely blinged out version. We played with like a few expansions, and I was like, I can handle that, and I think I ended up winning actually. But I don't want a 2-hour experience. Like, I want that kind of packed down. I like the card games a bit more condensed. So I was like, oh, maybe this Ares Expedition is going to be that. But then when I saw, just how close it was to race, I was just like, well, I will just play race, if I can. And, and for example, like on the Stonemaier side, like as much as like Wingspan ultimately probably isn't like a top 10 game of all time, I enjoy it a lot. And I think there is some really interesting mechanical innovation there. I think it's more subtle, but I actually like what Elizabeth's done, I think, and as introduced some interesting new, and it's very fluid and very smooth and very enjoyable. And I guess I hoped that Red Rising was going to, again, have like slightly bit more of that. But again, it's probably for a different audience. It seems like it's very easy game to play, which is good. So yeah, anyway, we will see. What I definitely will be interested to try both these games. I don't think I will get the chance to play either of them for quite some time because I mean, Red Rising might get translated here because you do see some of the Stonemaier games have got translated to Czech, although I can't. I would need an English version because obviously the cards are all English. And yeah, I'm not going to pay the crazy amount of money you have to pay on Kickstarter for Terraforming Mars. So yeah. Rob says, I have a friend who's running game design jokes that every design he always ends up realizing that he's just redesigning Race for the Galaxy. It's obviously not true, but it doesn't help him stop him saying it. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I think it's sort of funny that people say design games that you want to play, and that's a good. I think that's a good piece of advice. But at the same time, often games you want to play, there's a similarity to a game that already exists because you enjoy playing that type of game. You're like, I'd love to have another experience like that. And sometimes when you're so aware of that other game, it's really hard to like imagine outside of the box. Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like you have to purposely design something adjacent, like in a different genre or adjacent to that thing, because if you try and make, like, if I want to make a variable power card game, yeah, I do also still have the problem, like when I would love to make the next race, but then you just end up designing Race to the Galaxy. So I end up trying a different, a completely different genre, and I'm not as kind of like constrained by, I'm not constrained by games that are in my head. And yeah, it's a funny kind of duality, I think, a very common design piece of advice for designers is that you should play lots of games. You should have, a great knowledge of what's come before, because that helps you understand, how you can solve problems using solutions for other games, or you kind of know what's out there. But there's also something we said about when you're trying, especially the early stages of design, when you're trying to design, to try and do it as far away from all that knowledge, because it's just really hard when you're not trying to plagiarize, but you're just, when you have those games in your head, they kind of subconsciously set the boundaries for what the game should be, and you let those previous games be that boundary, and it can be hard to kind of like make something new or outside of that. So it's a funny thing that you have to sort of deal with. Oh, morning, Rory. No worries. What were you playing? That sounds like a very pleasant morning to lose time playing a solo game. Oh yes, we said that. My father is already told me design Zendo again yesterday. Yeah, don't you just hate that? Yeah, it is funny, and it is also funny that you sometimes you know of that game you're trying not to design because you're making this game in this same space, but then somehow surreptitiously, and a lot of it, yeah, as others have said in the chat, some of it is just perception. Like if someone else like didn't know that game, they wouldn't go like, oh, this is obviously this, or even if they did know the game, they might not see that same connection that you see. But you have to you just have to try, I guess. You were trying Rory was trying an unofficial Board Game Geek solo variant of Katara. Oh, interesting. Did it work? Was it enjoyable? What do you think? Yeah, that's also an interesting little sort of card mechanism kind of thing where you're sort of you're improving your actions by playing cards once a turn. It definitely looked quite interesting to me. Yeah. How are we going? Oh, thank you very much. I'm not sure if you're still watching, Ariel. But thanks very much for the follow. hope you're well. Yeah. Rory said the solo was good, but the AI made some weird decisions. Okay, yeah. It can be difficult making a very intelligent AI. I've been lucky that the only games I've had to make solo. I mean, we've had to make more and more solo. It's interesting now. Solo is such a it's such an expectation in most games, interestingly enough now. And actually, even in one case, we've had one game that we've had signed with a publisher for at least 2 years now, if not a little bit more. And they've actually come back to us saying that, yes, we still want to publish the game, everything's fine. But actually, the kind of times have changed in those 2 years and they signed it without a solo mode, but they're like, actually, now I think it would be really good if there would be a solo mode. And so we suddenly have to sort of imagine what a solo mode for this game is going to be. And that's going to be a bit interesting because I don't quite know how to... It's a game where you're kind of... There's a sort of a tableau of cards that you're drafting from. You're kind of moving around and drafting cards. There's quite a bit of player interaction. And that drives a lot of the interest in the game. And yeah, I'm not sure how easily we can sort of do that. And also the game's not supposed to be too like heavy. So you don't want like a really complicated automa or something like that. So yeah, it's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with. Roy likes card playing and Qatar as well. It's interesting. Yeah, I agree. When I saw it, I have to admit, like the board sort of stuff, I'm like, I can take or leave. I'm not that, worried about it. But the card play did seem super interesting, actually. Yeah. So yeah. And I mean, I made the automa for Monumental, for example, but in some ways that's easier because what you're doing in Monumental is so you have such an interesting puzzle just for yourself that the other players really are acting to just change opportunities for you, like to take away things that you might have wanted, or to take away cards that you might have wanted, or to conquer provinces. So it's very easy just to tell an automa to just like take some cards and conquer some provinces, and you kind of have to react to it. Yes, it might not be playing particularly strategically, but at least it does most of the job in terms of like changing opportunities for the player. But when you really have like a game where you really have to be, there's an obvious way in which a player would try and take actions, and trying to get the automa to kind of do that as well, but with a little bit of randomness because you don't want it to be completely predictable. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And then of course there are a couple of games that we have where because they're kind of multiplayer solitaire games, that solo is really easy because you don't actually have to change anything, and you're just trying to kind of get a high score. There's a bit of a win-loss in one of them that there was a slight, because there were sort of open goals. So we've made it that you must do all the goals to win, in addition to getting a high score, essentially. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing that designers, for a long time nobody had to sort of really worry about solo modes. And then suddenly it's just a normal thing that you kind of almost expected in games now. Where he says Qatar is almost abstract, so it's always going to be hard to make an AI for me. There's a lot of nuance in the decision making. Yeah, it does seem there's a lot of, especially with any area majority game, or when you have lots of different, they're kind of like the texture in the types of action you can say, like if you think of like the quanta, like how big are the actions, and Katara seems like has lots of small actions, like your turn is made up of lots of small things put together, and the universe of what's possible with that is so broad compared to a deck builder, which is like you're going to buy 1 or 2 cards on your turn. That's there's only so many ways you can sort of combine that, for example. So I can imagine, that it's much harder to kind of like design an AI that sort of makes sense in that way. Yeah, but it's the challenge that we all face now. It's the normal thing. Yeah, but yeah, so that's what's been on my mind. I'm quite interested in Loop Hero, which is a new digital game, which I understand obviously a lot of people heard of because Michael's been playing it on his stream. I've watched a few videos, and I definitely will try it when it comes out, I think. And maybe I should yeah, purchase it. Yeah, no, I mean it's the sort of thing that I should definitely try out. You know, another rogue building, you know, auto battling kind of game and things like that. It seems there's always more and more of these kind of games to try. I can share the screen here. Yeah, so this is Loop Hero. Sort of you're just walking around a loop essentially, and you're you know, auto battling, but as you fight people, you get these cards which let you put new things in the loop, which give you benefits, or put new enemies in the loop and things like that. And then I think there's a lot of things between levels where it's the normal kind of like gearing up and getting new equipment and things like that. So yeah, I look forward to trying at some point. Maybe I should just get the demo actually. I don't know, for those who've been watching watching Michael's stream, I don't know how much the demo is, because some of those demos frustrate me because it's sort of like you get the good bit and then suddenly it's over. And yeah. Rory's going to recommend Fights in Tight Spaces, but it's PC only. Yes, I have seen Fights in Tight Spaces. It does look really interesting. Yeah, it's sort of funny. It seems to be, I mean, I know the kind of like deck building roguelike thing is very in, but it just sort of feels like right now suddenly a whole bunch of them are coming out. I just saw on a YouTuber I follow is called Northern Lion, or he's not just a YouTuber, streamer as well. Really likes roguelike games, and he just released a video. There was another game which was like a deck building roguelike chess game called Pawnbarian, which I had to laugh. But yeah, so it just seems like, you know, there's just so much. Yeah, there's just so many options for things these days. I can show the Pawnbarian. So this is Pawnbarian. So you have like cards which are chess pieces, and you have to move on to your enemies and damage them and various things like that. And when you move to the back row, you can upgrade a pawn card. And yeah, so yeah, maybe I should also try it out, I guess. I don't know, can I do this on? So the demo is on, no, it's not on Mac, so I'm not able to play it, unfortunately. Hal says, friend has been streaming a bunch of Loop Hero. He's got a lot of mileage out of the demo, so it doesn't look too truncated. Okay, excellent. I will definitely go and, yeah, I will check it out. Rory wishes you designed Pawnbarian. Yeah, it does seem very clean. You know, there's something that it just it kind of makes sense, you know, which is, it's nice when you see those ideas that, yeah, like the peanut butter. Someone else is saying the peanut butter and jelly kind of games, you know, where you mix A and B, like deck building and chess. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's what it is. Which I also like. I like, for me, that's a nice way to start with game design often. But yeah, it just seems like at the moment it's like deck building roguelike plus X, you know. And yeah, it'll be interesting. I must say, when I first saw Loop Hero, I was like, that's it, you're just running around. But yeah, I'm sure the kind of the progression and things like that is quite interesting. So I will try it out. That being said, I have actually continued playing Luck Be a Landlord. I am really surprised at how much I'm playing Luck Be a Landlord. For me now, it's become almost like a relaxing kind of thing. Like, it's very just, you know, zen isn't the right word, but it's become this kind of activity for me that is just a, you know, a pleasant kind of distraction. I can get a run in about 10 minutes, you know. And I'm looking forward. Actually, the patch got delayed, but there will be a new patch on Friday, and probably I will try and stream the new patch on Friday evening. I imagine it depends. Yeah, they end up being a little bit like monsters. Very long streams on Friday, because the patch is like 2 hours from when I start, and then, you know, I keep streaming and they end up being like 3 or 4 hour streams, and I'm not sure if I want to do that anymore. But so I'll think what I might do. Maybe I will start the stream a bit later on Friday, maybe. Although everyone expects me to be there at a particular time, and I know some people turned up last Friday and wondered where I was when I took the day off. So anyway, who knows? Yeah, but lots of interesting, and I still haven't played Monster Train, for example, you know, because I'm on Mac. So yeah, it feels like there's a lot of digital games to kind of catch up with in this kind of like roguelike deck building space, which is interesting. Morning, Alex. How are you going? Yeah. What is everyone drinking? I know there were some cappuccinos, some people talking about some which is very fancy, I must say. For those who are drinking cappuccinos, do you have your own machines in your house or things like that? We don't have any coffee making equipment. Teresa does. I don't do coffee, but Teresa does. But she doesn't that often, so she just picks up something from a cafe or something. So yes, the whole coffee thing is a bit beyond me. So I'm just all about the tea. Yes, and yeah, I think. What are the other things? I have to try and transfer a couple of older prototypes onto Tabletop Simulator because I might be trying to pitch to a publisher in a few weeks, and I now know that digitally it's just a lot easier with Tabletop Simulator to show off the game. Or Tabletop, it doesn't have to be Tabletop Simulator, but having a digital prototype is way easier than a physical. Or I've done things where I've shown PDFs of printed components and things like that. That's always a little bit just doesn't kind of work the same way. Yeah, Rob says I need to establish a bit of chaos in my schedule so that we don't get too comfortable and entitled. Well, I don't think anyone's entitled. I'm very glad that people come, kind of, fitted me in their kind of schedule and come to expect that. Yeah, it's a very it's a nice thing. So I want to meet the expectations of my followers. Rob has a mug of black pressed coffee. Oh yes, excellent. So go and get some more coffee. I'm sure we'll just be chatting more about coffee in your absence. Baz is a classic. Does everything manually for the cappuccino and use a Bialetti for the espresso. I have no idea what that is. I assume it's something you use to make coffee. But excellent. I know for some that's a real kind of ritual, isn't it? You sort of, that's something you do in the morning, and you that's the kind of thing that you start your day with. And yeah, I would like a sort of ritual like that. I used to have, not a ritual, I guess I had a bit more of an order because I was had to get to work at this particular time. But of course, nowadays I'm just in this realm of at home, all the time. So I don't have the thing of having to leave my house by 8:30 or something like that. It's quite funny. Alex says, so start string your prime number days at 3:30 a.m. or 10:23 p.m. Yeah, that might be a bit much for my my own sanity, let alone my viewers' sanity. But I should say that if anyone isn't following on Twitter, this isn't a thing to please follow me on Twitter, but that is my main way of communicating changes. I don't really know how you do it on Twitch, or very well, to be honest. So yeah, if anyone's ever, if you ever come to the stream, it's not on, check my Twitter. Hopefully I will have tweeted earlier on saying I'm not tweeting today, or I'm not streaming today or whatever. So I would recommend. Zate also does hers like Bass. Very, very good. Very good. Bass, sometimes I change up the coffee to a slow drip coffee. Pouring. Thank you for defining what that is to me, because I don't know. Pouring water over the grinded coffee. You got to try and wait for the next one. Excellent, excellent. We can. I need some sort of timer in the top right hand corner or left hand corner or something, which is, for those who just finished their coffee, here's a 10-minute timer, and you can go and get something. You can change your stream title. Let people know it isn't happening. Oh, that's a good point. Yes, I could. I guess I could put it on. But then, do you have to actually be live though to have that title, actually be on, right? Because if you're not streaming, then you don't have the title for the stream, kind of thing. But yeah, that is a good point. There is a schedule session. That's true, and I could change that. Yes, there are ways. I'm merely pontificating, being lazy and asking other people to give me the answers rather than just looking it up myself, which I could definitely do. But anyway, yeah. But the plan is, I think, to be back on Friday as normal. Maybe we'll do a dive into an older game of mine. I'm not sure at the moment. Rob saying I need to convert one of my prototypes to screen top. It's currently on Tabletopia, but over testing volunteers, computer struggles with Tabletopia, so want to enable them to play. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I still need to try out screen top properly. It might be a lot easier for certain things. Does screen top have dice in it or not? Is it really just cards? That's the only thing, because I need dice in my game. Alex says I only got to have half my tea before I had to start my commute. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Alex. Yeah, I'm in the strange thing where I have no commute at the moment, and I won't for the foreseeable future, which is yeah, interesting. We've yeah, for those who don't know, in the Czech Republic, we've entered another quite hard lockdown at the moment. So yeah, definitely sort of not going outside as much, which I've been doing the whole time, but you know, even more so, I guess. Oh yes, thanks, Bass. Bialetti is one of these still pots you put over the fire, and the boy. Oh, okay, it's like the kind of traditional. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, because I think I've seen where he just goes to actually look at the. Yeah, okay, I know what these are. These show it on the screen. Yeah, these things which I've seen in many a place. Yeah, or a mocha pot is also named after the Yemeni city of Mocha, which I guess is also where, like, mocha, isn't mocha the kind of chocolate and coffee kind of mix or something? He says, not knowing really. Yeah. Oh, I see. Screen Top has dice. Okay, well, I definitely will now. And now I'm going to have to check out Screen Top. I'm going to put it on my thing. I mean, not to be honest, not that for me, Tabletopia is not that much more difficult. And at the moment, the main work for the game is going to be digitalizing the files, which I'll need to do in either option. So, but good to know. Nicholas says, I've been getting more into Screen Top. It's been interesting. The files prep is a bit different. Okay. Yeah. They all, yes, as Roy said, Rob says, they all have their quirks, definitely. Roy says, I have to travel for work next week, and I'm weirdly looking forward to it. Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, I hope it goes well. Yeah, I do in some ways miss traveling. I mean, I've been very, very lucky when I lived in Cambridge. Even though it was, firstly, like, Cambridge is a cycling city, so you'd think, oh, like, you only have to ride your bike. But I was even lucky enough to mostly live close enough to my work that, you know, it was like a 10 or 15-minute walk, which is an absolute, you know, privilege and luxury, definitely. This is in contrast to when I lived in Sydney, where I regularly had like a 30 to 45-minute like public transport commute. And I think when I moved to Cambridge, I was like, oh, I want to make the most of being able to walk, because I love being able to walk in the mornings. And even public transport is too bad because you get a time to think. But yeah, now I don't have that, so I do miss that kind of fecund kind of like thinking time. Which for me, yeah, maybe it does have a sort of subtle effect on like designing. I don't have those hours or something in a day where I have time to kind of like let my mind drift and things like that. Yeah, it's but it's true. But anyway, I hope the travel goes well. I've been kind of reconnected. Yeah, not that I miss England. I don't miss England exactly, but there's a familiarity there that I miss. But we've been watching a lot of Grand Design. That's our newest kind of TV obsession, weirdly enough, would you believe? Yeah, we've been enjoying watching that, and yeah, it's been kind of nice to kind of reconnect to like seeing places in England that I know, and even just the people and things like that. It's been quite nice. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Anyone else been anything other sort of new media revelations for anybody that they've sort of discovered, or things that I should be watching or doing? Yeah, but anyway, we're coming up, I guess, on. So is Bez streaming today or not? I don't think Bez is streaming today. Is that right? Because I can check. I feel like she said that she was taking starting today and the next 3 days off. Somebody can correct me. I'm trying to look it up on her Twitter. Where is the? Oh yes, it's a break from Wednesday the 3rd. So yeah, so Bez isn't streaming today. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, thanks everyone. So yeah, I guess we're not necessarily like rushing to say hi or anything like that. I don't know who else is sort of who else is kind of streaming around this time. Just having a quick look. Maybe I really don't. So maybe we won't be raiding today. Who knows? so I need to keep you all entertained until Michael comes on. That would be quite a long stream for my morning. I need to have some breakfast. I haven't had breakfast yet. So yeah. Yes, but yeah, and I guess I think today will be sort of knocking off a few other small tasks. I still want to, I kind of want to like get stuck into this behind me, but it's in that weird awkward point where you're like, is this interesting? I don't know. I should keep moving around the pieces. I need to. That's something I think I need to work on, is my perseverance, especially early on in the process. I think my greatest. I was reflecting yesterday. My greatest problem is from the first to the second prototype. A lot of people have a problem getting the first prototype because you have an idea in your head and it takes a very long time to get out of your head. Weirdly enough, I'm quite good at that. So I'm quite good at making the first prototype. But I very often, after the first prototype, I'm like, gosh, I can't, this doesn't work. And then I sort of give up, and I should really keep going until I can make the second prototype and things like that. Morning, Bez. How are you? We were just talking about you because I'm so used to, of course, it was getting to the end of the hour. I was thinking, oh, let's go and raid Bez. But I know you're taking a break today. So, but just know that I would have happily raided you, Bez. And I hope you're having a wonderful break. And yeah, absolutely. Again, congratulations on, well, I guess it was, because you took a break the day directly after the 300, but you're up to what, 303, 304, 305 now, or whatever. So, yes, entered the 4th season of Bez's blethering. Well, thinking of second prototypes, shall we do a second prototype for a game with Alan? I think we actually did make a second prototype already. I think we are onto the second because we moved from the one we made on stream to making a second one. But yeah, we could definitely make a third one. I must say, it was one of these games that I was happy with what we came up with in the time, and I'm happy what we made. But for me, it still lacked. There was just something like not quite there, and it sort of wandered. I think the other thing is it had wandered away from that kind of like deductive thing of like Tobago, Anywhere at All. Yes, that's the game we're talking about. It had sort of wandered away from that kind of like Tobago deductive kind of thing, which I really liked. And there's a part of me that would love to sort of go back to that point and try and explore what it could be, to be something a bit more, or like Hal's in the chat. Obviously, there's also a relation to something like Cryptid. Hal, if you have interesting ideas, you can join the team. We can make the Cryptid a roll and write or something like that. Yeah, it's so yeah, there is a part of me that's like to come back to that kind of idea. Happy to look at anything Cryptid good. Yeah, excellent. Well, yeah, it's done with. I still haven't actually played Cryptid, sadly enough, but it's exactly the type of game I would very much enjoy. Also, I can't really play with 2, so it doesn't make sense right now. But yes, so that was where this Anywhere at All kind of started with a little bit. Yeah. Alex says, I've been catching up with Fun Problems podcast. Great. It was interesting to hear about the concept of just ripping out the problem area and adding in something more fun. I might try that. Yes, I was listening to that exactly so last night. I always listen to podcasts as I'm washing the dishes. And yes, I think they're doing a really good job for you podcasts. It's quite funny folk, but yeah, definitely a good new podcast, definitely worth checking out. Bess says, I think that the way we made it seems to kind of work, and if Kinesia has taught me anything, it's that a slightly different approach could be a new game. That's true. I think it is right. I think what we have is interest. It works. I think my main thing, if I was to be honest, is that I think it lacks a little bit of interest, but certainly we can keep working at it, and I'm sure we'll find the spice, So no, we don't need to. Yeah, we should get back onto that. I guess you're absolutely right. So maybe I will add it to my list of things to look at today or tomorrow. Anywhere at all. That's the problem. We're all busy streamers, we can't keep up. And I will also say to everyone, this is also keeping me sort of not accountable, but to remind it that next Thursday, so the 11th of March, there will be a special stream at 7 p.m. GMT on Thursday, the 11th of March, where Bez, myself, Michael Fox, and Amari Akil, we're all going to have a joint stream together I think it's going to be on Amari's channel because it's kind of more on his time zone sort of thing. And we're going to be chatting about like game designers on stream and how we've all kind of, you know, that kind of, it's been a bit of a rise over the last, you know, months, obviously, how we sort of approach things differently. So yeah, that's the first time kind of telling people. So Thursday, 11th of March, 7 p.m. GMT, probably on Amari's channel. If you aren't following Amari already, I would recommend that. If any one of the mods is able to, I think it's a Killerverse. I can switch. Is that going to be it? No. Others, maybe. Yeah, a Killerverse. Here we go. Oh, thanks very much, Bess. Perfect. Yeah, so if you're not following Amari already, go and do that right now. And yes, we'll most likely be on Amari's channel, I believe, on Thursday, the 11th of March. So yeah, do check that out. And yeah, and of course enjoy his streams leading up to that, I guess, as well. Yeah, how are you going, by the way, Bez? What is your plan for your days off? You've suddenly got all this time. I hope you will enjoy it. Yeah, so maybe in the oh, I see, Alex. Thank you. Do you have a link to this indie tabletop newsletter? I actually, the other point, speaking about newsletters, that is something also that is on my list. I thought that I really should start doing a newsletter. I was really inspired by Elizabeth Hargrave. Elizabeth Hargrave has a really good newsletter. She doesn't do it very often. I'm not sure if I've missed one or two of them, but I think she might only do it once a quarter. I think I've read one or two of them, but I thought it's a good way to, you know, people talk about, you must build up a mailing list like a publisher and things like that. And I guess it's not exactly like that, but I'm sure there are people who'll be interested if there are new games coming out from me. They want updates. So I'm thinking I will probably try and start a newsletter, probably only once a month. Well, thanks very much for that, Alex. I will check that out. And thank you very much for the shout out. Yeah, I'm thinking I will should it's on the list of things I want to do. Right now, I guess it's not as important, but when there are more what's the word? When there are more releases of mine happening out, it might make more sense to do that. Oh, great, Nicholas. Sounds great. Oh, yes. And anyway, so as right at the top, Zate mentioned that I am affiliate now, and I don't have any emotes, which I'd be happy for people to have. So if anyone has interesting ideas for custom emotes that we should have for the channel, do let me know. It's not exactly the thing that I'm very good at, so that's why I'm sort of if anyone thinks this should be something interesting that would be worth doing, then do let me know. Anyway, I think we shall end the day with some tiny islands, because that seems like quite a lovely way to finish the stream. I've been really enjoying the puzzles, actually, generally, and doing puzzles. And I think it might be, oh yes, a Cuppa. That's yeah, or a luck be a lamb. Yeah, no, those are good points, actually. That's a good. Yeah, I will try. Yes. Oh, great tea and a Big Mug. Yes, definitely something puzzle related. I'm thinking I might try and maybe I'll start doing some more puzzle related streams or something like that. Great, yeah, enjoy. Have a fantastic day, Rory. Thanks very much for dropping by. And I think we're at Golf Wednesdays, if I'm correct. So we are trying to get a low score today. So let's see how we go. So if anyone else is heading off while I do a bit of Tile Islands, hope you have a fantastic day. Those who hang around, feel free if you want to try the daily shuffle at the same time. Feel free to do that as well. Yeah. So let's see. So I've got to remember, waves are really good in, or is it Waves Wednesdays? I think it's Golf Mondays and Wave Wednesdays. Yeah, no, it must be Wave Wednesdays. I don't think, okay, sorry. So I had it wrong. Good thing I realized before I started. So yeah, so it's Wave Wednesdays, which means that I must select a wave if I'm given the option, essentially. All right, let's do some houses. We can do some more houses. Oh, I must choose waves. Can't forget that. Must always choose waves. I'll stick it in the corner here. Some trees or houses. I think it's probably worth putting in some trees. It has been, yeah, bye Rob, see. This has been a while since I played. It's really hard to get a score of 0. It's quite difficult. It's definitely getting a score lower than 5 is quite reasonable because there are a lot of symbols that do cancel each other out kind of easily, especially waves, for example. It's very easy to make waves score 0. So I think actually scoring a low score is actually kind of easier. Scoring the absolute perfect low score is kind of hard, but I don't think you have much control over that, to be honest. But this is more interesting where you have to choose waves because I think most people think the waves are not that interesting. But anyway, so I will keep going with my waves. I must choose a waves. Well, we're lucky here because I would be cutting one out, but I could put the waves there and we're still fine. I could actually do a ship. I don't normally do ships, but you know what? I will actually play a ship. Oh, that is a good bit for a mountain there. Lovely. Could have a house. Yeah, why don't we do a house? House here. So, we're doing our first island. Maybe I'll make this big enough to kind of cover possibilities. Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, another wave. Another wave. I can actually put the wave there, which is good. Next to the house. We have another forest, which I'll take. Hopefully I can connect it up. Oh, must take the wave. Oh, we're in a bit of a spot of bother now, but we can do, luckily enough, we can make a little lake around this wave here. So we've actually been quite lucky with these waves, although now we're going to get screwed because this wave is going to knock this one out. But at least I can put the wave so it sort of minimizes that. Oh, these are not great choices. I'll do a coast here. I'm not feeling that we're doing so well at the moment, I must say. Oh gosh, I'm getting these things in this corner, which I can't really do much about. Oh, it's really bad. Maybe I can hope to make a thing along the bottom, maybe. Ah, darn it! No. Oh gosh, that was just horrendous. Okay, well we're just gonna have to go with it. I've been a bit unfortunate with my things here. I guess I'll try a boat. Wow, I'm really a bit. Yeah, I should have made that island a bit bigger. Oh gosh, I have to make a big enough island to. Oh, I've scotched myself because I have to put this here. I think. No, maybe I don't. This will be minus points. I'm trying to work out what's worse because I'm gonna have a penalty either way now. Maybe I just do this because I don't know what's gonna happen. Ah. Damn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Okay, well, but we're quite lucky to join up those things. I cannot do the wave where it's not gonna like cancel something out, unfortunately, so I'll just put another thing next to the house. But I think you want different things next to the houses, don't you? Oh gosh, oh gosh. Well, it looks like I'll probably just keep trying to do this forest here. I'll put a church on the island, yes. Got more waves, and the waves are going to cancel things out again. Seems to be what happens on Waves Wednesday, is that sometimes you just get completely scotched and you just basically have to, like, cancel out a bunch of points no matter what you do, unfortunately. Do not really want a house there. So we'll just take some shoreline. We'll take some more shoreline, and then we will finish off this island here. So yeah, not a great performance today, unfortunately. A good boat here, actually, though. But the waves are going to score almost nothing, mostly. I mean, the fact that even some of them score is sort of amazing, but yeah. Have I basically cancelled them all out? Almost. Yeah, none of them are going to score much. And that's also the problem with Wave Wednesdays, that you end up having a lot of these things that just sort of cancel each other out, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes. House is not so great. Church is not so great either. Have an okay forest. Some good mountains. But yeah, it's definitely not my finest performance. And I'm going to lose 5 points here for this thing here. So yeah, definitely not a great score for Wave Wednesdays, which I think was, I'm not sure if it was better or worse than last week's, but yeah, I've had better, certainly. Great. Well, I think that will do me for now. But thank you all for joining the Game Design Cuppa. Hope you had a nice morning. Enjoyed the stream, and I will be back on Friday as normal at 4 p.m. GMT. Hope you all have a fantastic week until then. And yeah, I can have a quick check to see if there was anybody I'd raid, but I don't think there's anybody I really know. Yeah, no. So we might just be finishing the stream as normal. But yeah, hope everyone has a fantastic day. And yeah, I guess I'll catch up with you all on Friday. And take care until then. Go ahead. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.